Hey everybody, my name's Sally and I am a messenger and I am here to help save your soul. So if you're wanting to have your soul saved, you might just want to hear what I have to say. I have some pretty hard evidence as to what times we're living in and how the best way to protect yourself is. Okay, so first of all, I'll just say that my experience has only been going on for 2.5 years, and I was contacted, I'm going to give my testimony. All right, this is my testimony. This is what happened to me in a very, very concise, short, brief snippet of information. So I went through a breakup and a difficult situation where like about 5 massive things happened to me at once. You know, all those things that they say, you know, if you lose your job or someone dies or you have a breakup or your dog dies or your children move away or whatever, they're massive, right? They all happened at once, all of them, right? So I had 5 happen at once. So I was in a bit of a difficult place, and I was very empowered because I'd just done a course on empowerment, and I was very empowered, but I was going through a situation which was very, very highly stressful, and I bought my own house, did it up, had my own business, worked really hard for about a year, was really empowered, got into theatre group, went dancing, got myself back out there, was great. And then all of a sudden I met someone called my twin flame, and everything came crashing down. If you're watching, I love you. But everything came crashing down because I met my mirror self. And also at that point I had a Kundalini awakening, and I was meditating at the time, and during my meditation Jesus jumped into my meditation. Now at this point you can either turn off or whatever, but this is the truth. I'm speaking the truth. When you do meditation, you can experience other dimensions. Science is now proving that other dimensions exist. CERN have opened up a black hole to show that we can interdimensionally travel as human beings. Many people do it. So this is something that is really happening. Science is proving that we are not actually physical beings. We are spirits in the material world. We are 99.9% energy. And we are not here at all. In fact, we are just avatars. Like the film Avatar or the film Matrix, we're up there doing this on some kind of game thing, you know, what do they call these things? Game thingy, you know, one of those. And we are making our avatar move around, meet people, do things. So that's when you have a coincidence, it's actually a synchronicity. It's all planned. So this is a game we're living in, and we're living in the matrix prison of the game. And the idea is, and this is how I'm going to help you save your soul, because I can't do it for you, you have to do it for yourself, is to get out of the game. Okay, so there's different levels of the game, and you'll be working your way up through the levels during your lifetimes. And we have many lifetimes, but right now we are in their last lifetime. So this is why it's very important, and why people are finding they are where they are in their lives. You might be really, really depressed, not seeing any hope for the future. You might be going through a difficult time in your relationship. People around you might be dying, committing suicide. You might have been just released from your job. You can see the economy on the brink of collapse. You can see we're on the brink of World War III. You can see all these things around you, but you're like, la, 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 la. Well, why? Who wouldn't be, you know? Put the telly on, drown it out, drown it out, drown it out. That's what they want you to do. So I'm here to tell you to wake up, because you can wake up and you can not be fearful as you go into these times. And these times are going to be difficult times ahead. Don't be fearful, have faith. And I'm going to show you how to live in love, hope, not just hope, love and faith. All right? I want you to live in love, faith and truth. I want you to know exactly what's going on. That's my job here. God woke me up for a reason, to tell people exactly what is going on. They want the truth, all right? Because there's loads of lies out there. There's lies coming from the media. There's lies coming from the false awakening. There's lies coming from just everywhere you go. So it's all around. It's lies. So don't be drowned out by the lies. So I'm going to give you a brief thing about what happened to me. So I'm going to really try and keep this short. And as I look at the clock, it says 4:44. So what happened to me was, when I met this other me in the game, okay, because we all have another player in the game. I met this other me in the game, and he was my mirror. So he came in and he showed me myself and all my aspects of myself that I needed to work on. Having worked on myself all my life, okay? And we might all be in that place where we're trying to improve our physical, or you know, as in getting fit and being active and eating healthily. Or we might be at the next level of the game where we're thinking positively, doing affirmations, learning about The Secret, learning about you know, all that stuff in the New Age movement, or Louise Hay and all of that stuff about positivity and bringing in, you know, creating your own reality and all of that mental stuff. Or we might be working through emotional stuff. The emotional transformation is where we realize that our limiting beliefs are actually holding us back. So we're trying to do all this positive stuff, but we're held back by our limiting beliefs. The emotional stuff we have to work through is things like, you know, things that we learned from our parents, a conditioning system, the things that people told us that are not really real about ourselves, such as, you know, all of those things like, you know, you're not good enough, you know, people don't like you, all of these things that we have in our minds. So if somebody says to me, I'm not good enough at school, then I'm going to go around with this limiting belief that I'm not good enough. That's going to prevent me from moving forward in life, generally. So people who have passed through the physical to move up the game, passed through the mental to move up the game, passed through the emotional blocks to move up the game, are now in a place of a spiritual enlightenment, awakening. Okay, so you come to this place where you either meet your twin flame, or you have a spiritual experience where you realize there's more to life. All right. For a lot of people, they see 1111 all the time. Like literally your eyes just look at the numbers 1111, 1111, 1111, 1111. It's everywhere, right? So you might not look at your clock all morning and then pick up the phone and it's 1111. So that happens. It's called the wake-up call. It's God. And God is calling us to wake up. And he's calling us to wake up to the truth of what's going on around us at the moment. We have to wake up. And I'll give you a clue. It's not climate change. So we have to wake up to the truth about what's going on. And that's what happened with me. So I was at this place where thinking, well, what's this? So I started looking it up. Okay, so I started looking up 1111. You can research it. And it said, oh, these are angel numbers. And it was kind of really nice, good news. It was all about how we're supported through angels, which is true. We are. And there are angels that come into our life and that leads us to certain things, to meet certain people, and these are the synchronicities in our life. Great, this is all really good news. So then I started seeing different numbers like 222, which was related to this relationship I was having with my twin flame, who was showing me, again, as I said, my shadow self. So all the things that I needed to heal within myself in order to become a more empowered person, to shine my light and be truthful and honest about what I'm doing here and what the time is right now. So I'm doing it, and it's taken 2.5 years. So let me just go back a bit. What did God say to me? Okay, the first thing was that I had this dream, and I was it was dark, obviously. I was asleep. It was dark at night, it generally is. So in my dream, I heard 3 clicks, click, 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 and then I saw all the stars fall out of the sky. All right, and it woke me up, and because it was so real. And this is why people who talk about having visions and dreams are so like, wow, man, and they go on the internet and they're like, wow, Jesus is real, man, because it's like watching Netflix movie. It's real. Like, you're there, you're in it, it's real. You are literally, like, we're all holographic in this matrix, and you're literally experiencing a hologram that, you know, if you imagine us programming, like, if you imagine watching a film, if you imagine being a character in the film, and then you're playing that part of that film, so you're playing a part of your life, if you like, you're having an experience of the future, and that's what it's like. So all of my visions and dreams have been like this, very, very real, and that's why I know I'm not, you know, that's why I know it's coming from God. So apart from that, I actually met him, and that was because in another vision, my twin flame and I went up on a double helix up to the 12th dimension, and I was given my armour of God, and we were given all sorts of things, swords and shields and things, being prepared for war. At the time, I didn't know it was God. I just thought it was this guy who was just preparing, like giving us shields, and I had no idea what was going on. I was just meditating and having a good time. Bear in mind, I don't use drugs. Apparently you can produce your own DMT. So because I was under a lot of stress, I'm presuming this is why I was producing my own DMT. And but luckily, because everything is predestined, that was supposed to happen. So God is now he speaks to me. I'm not stressed anymore. I'm having a great time, but he speaks to me just telepathically, and also other ways, and I can prove that. So he's given me this, and so I kind of, every time I came out of meditation, recorded the journaling, rejournaled it and recorded what exactly I've received. I received all sorts of things, sacred symbols. One time I received a clock and a sheep. I mean, so many things, but they all symbols. Basically, I was supposed to put the pieces together, and it all started slow and it's built up, and now it's a massive like download of information, and I can just like literally write down what he's telling me. So this is why it's taken me 2.5 years, because can you imagine being in that position? Your mind is absolutely blown. Like, one, I didn't even get married in a church or have my children christened. I didn't have a Bible. I had to run out and go and find a Bible from the local vicar. And I said to him, look, I think there's something really massive going on here, because I've just had this massive supernatural experience, and I think it must be the end of the world. And do you know what he said? He calmly took my hand and he said, Sally, he said, don't worry, read the Gospel of Matthew. And I said, yeah, but I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, because I've just brought all this to your table and you've got beautiful children here and a beautiful garden, and they were gardening at the time outside, and it was, because the church wasn't even open, I had to go round to the vicarage. And he said, don't worry. He said, we're prepared. He said, that is what it is to be with God. You're prepared for anything, because you have no fear, because you know that you're saved. And that sounds cliche, right? But the point is, your soul is saved, because we're not really here. This is a hologram. We're up there. The main thing that we have to do in this game is reconnect to this thing up there, this part of us, our, puppet master, if you like, or as in, you've seen the film The Matrix, right? So the people on the other side of the Matrix, or Jake Sully, or whatever his name is in Avatar, he's on the other side of his avatar. Basically, we have to connect with that part of us. And if we don't connect with that part of us, our Christed part of us, or Christ himself, Jesus, then we're not going to get out of this Matrix. We're going to stay stuck in the game and never get out, because our connection to God will be cut off by artificial intelligence. And at the moment we have access to infinite intelligence, which is the creator God, or angels, or whoever else that you will connect with when you go into meditation. So that's why there's so much yoga and meditation going around at the moment, because all the light beings are trying to get us to connect to our soul and ourself through spirituality. However, there is a dark side of that, which is trying to head you off in a different direction. So what I would say is, if you want to know the 100% truth, then you have to go to God consciousness. If you want to know just partial truth, then you need to go to starseed consciousness, which is basically all love and light and healing the planet and all of that. It's not the complete whole 100% truth, and your soul may not be saved by that, so just be aware. But I do advocate being of love and service. That is the most important thing. Being of love and service is the most important thing. And this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to show up to be in love and service of people, not charging any money. I don't want anything for it. As far as I'm concerned, we're at the end times, and there's no reason. I don't need any money anyway. But all I need is my soul. But when it comes to serious stuff like this, you realise that the most important things are love and and your soul. That's the only two important things. It's the things you come in with and the things you go out with. That's it. You can't take anything else with you. So I just wanted to make that clear. So going on from there, the experience between my twin flame and I were it's a great learning experience, and many people will go through it. So if you look up twin flame online, you'll see a whole load of people being completely confused and not knowing what's going on. But you can't get with your twin flame until your soul comes back to itself. So you have to realign completely with the soul and with God, and get on mission in order to get back with your soul completely and totally, so that you know that you're saved. That's my experience anyway. I'm not saying everybody's going to have that experience. But throughout this whole time, I've been getting loads and loads of visions and dreams, and basically all saying the same thing, that that my job here is to help release people from slavery of a satanic system that we're living in, which is the Matrix prison, where people will be blinded and deafened by media and money. So media tells you that everything's fine, and you know, basically living in la la land, and the idea is that you have to go out and make as much money as possible to be as powerful as possible, which is completely opposite to what the Christed being is. You don't come here with money, you don't leave with money. Money is something that's completely manufactured. You don't need it. You need love and humility and kindness and compassion, because when shit hits the fan and we go into economic collapse, or when we're hit by a bomb, nobody's going to be able to spend any money because there'll be nothing to buy in the shops, and we'll be relying on each other's compassion and love to be healing each other, to helping each other out with food and water, and to be nurturing and caring for each other compassionately and kindly. That's what we're going to need in the future. So as I said, this is hard, this is truth, and truth not everybody wants to hear, so you can turn off if you want, it's up to you. So the point is that love and humility, compassion and kindness are the things that we need to be striving for right now in this time we're living in. And I want to try and help you out as much as possible by enlightening you. So because enlightenment means basically you see everything, so you see the whole truth. So the whole truth is, one, we get deafened and blinded by the media system, which is put there to make people disassociate from their soul, so that they don't hear the truth, that they think that everything's about money and that they need to get more and more and more and more to fill the hole within them. So they connect with anything that fills that hole and void within them. So that might be food, drugs, alcohol, sex, relationships, money, wealth, power, anything that makes them feel that they have a connection to the whole that is within them, right? So that's what we're all seeking in this life. And we find it when we have that connection with our soul, when we come back together with our own soul. And so everything that is there to steer you off course, you have to try and turn it off. Turn off the telly, turn off every stimulus outside of yourself. If you're in a relationship with food or alcohol or smoking or cigarettes or whatever, you need to try and if you connect with your soul, you won't need that anymore. Let me just say that. As a side, look, I used to be a personal trainer after I was nursing. So I'm a nurse, personal trainer. But as a personal trainer, I used to tell people, look, if you want to achieve something, you need to believe it. Now, you need to believe in yourself. If you want to kick any habit, you have to believe in yourself. The only way you're going to believe in yourself is by reconnecting to your heart and your soul. So if you reconnect with your heart and your soul, you'll find that that void is filled. You will no longer need anything. You don't need anyone else to complete you. You don't need any drugs, any alcohol, any food, any cigarettes, anything. You don't need obsessively work on something like 1 million hours a week. You don't need money. You don't need big businesses. You don't need wealth. You don't need anything. All you need is your health and your heart and your love. So in fact, you don't even need your health. You just need, because a lot of people don't have their health, right? But you need love. That's what you need. Ultimately, that's what life is. Life is love. And we all know that somewhere deep down, because at the end of the day, you ask any question, why do you want that, or why are you doing that? The ultimate answer, if you keep saying, but why, will be because it makes me feel loved, or because I fear death. Well, those are the two things that keep us going in life, either moving towards love or moving away from death, right? So I don't want you to be in survival mode. If you're listening to my YouTube channel, I want you to be in a place where you feel like you're thriving and not just surviving. Thriving with faith and your soul and love and compassion and kindness and like creativity and abundance of health, and along with that comes all the good things in life. You will prosper and you will not perish. So I just want to say that I got caught up in the New Age because all of a sudden I could realise that I had this massive ability to do magic. Okay, so I could do tarot cards and read people's, read things in the Akashic records or the ether. So I would know things instantly without knowing how I knew them, and I would be able to tell what was going to happen in the future, and I would be able to read people's energy, and I would be able to read my own energy, and it was like, wow, this is amazing. I was really interested in astrology, and I was interested in runes, and I was interested in all those magical things. But that's because on my hand, and palmistry is one of those things where you can see how many lives you've had before and what you've done here, and so I can see that in past lives I have been a witch, and so therefore, witches used to be burned. Why? Because they knew too much. But as I've come through that journey in the New Age, I've recognized that you get to a point where it's not that divination is bad, but it says in the Bible you don't need divination because all you need is faith. faith in God. You don't need to know the future. At the beginning of the Bible, it speaks about the tree of knowledge and the tree of life. And if you eat from the tree of life, it blossoms and grows into fruit, and you have abundance. If you eat from the tree of knowledge, you're constantly searching and seeking better and better and better and better. So this is where Adam and Eve went wrong in the Garden of Eden. If you don't know the story, I'll just explain it to you very briefly, because it's very important. If we're talking about the end of the story, we need to talk about the beginning. Don't forget, this is a game or a story, a book. We're working through a game. So at the end of the game is where we're at. The beginning of the game is where basically God made Adam and Eve, if you like. I mean, there was a different way that we were put on the planet, but anyway, bearing in mind we've had 5 previous extinctions before this. So then Adam and Eve were reseeded onto the planet, and they were given this tree of knowledge and this tree of life. And God said, you can eat any tree you want, but don't eat the tree of knowledge. So then this creature came out and said, what did he tell you? He told you shouldn't be eating from the tree of knowledge, because he was lying, because if you eat that, you will know everything. You will become like gods. So rather than having to talk to him and get everything from him, you can be God, right? So Eve thought, oh, that sounded a good idea. And so she ate from the tree of knowledge. And then Adam came along and said, well, what's going on here? And she said, well, why don't you have a bite of this? It's really nice. And look, I know everything. My mind has gone and exploded, because now I can see into other worlds and other universes, and I understand everything about what Tesla and Einstein was going on about. I understand everything because I'm enlightened. And he went, all right, I'll have a bit of that. So he ate from the tree of knowledge, and his mind went, and he was suddenly able to see everything, the reason that the universe exists, why we're here, the reason for everything, right? And the purpose of life, everything. So then they suddenly realized, though, along with tree of knowledge, expansion, enlightenment, along came the knowing of good and evil. So then they realized that they had shame, right? They had shame, so they covered themselves up, because they were all of a sudden ashamed of their bodies, which is one thing that the media want you to be, because they give you all these magazines and stuff to tell you that you're not good enough, and therefore you feel worthless. So they put these these leaves on themselves to cover themselves up, and then God was walking in the garden, because at that time it was the Garden of Eden, and God used to walk amongst people, Adam and Eve, in the Garden of Eden, and he said, oh, what's going on? Why have you covered yourself up? And they said, well, because, we're ashamed, because I heard you coming, and I was ashamed. I had to hide behind a tree because, I've got no clothes on. And he said, you've eaten from the tree of knowledge, haven't you? And he was absolutely pissed off, because he gave them instruction, right? And if you like, it was a test, because this is a game. So it was a test to see whether they were going to... It's like giving kids sweeties and saying, don't eat those, just eat these ones, but don't eat those, and the kids kind of looking at them and saying, why shouldn't I eat those? Why shouldn't I eat those? And then the temptation comes in and says, go on, have one, you aren't going to know. So you eat the sweet, right? Because that's temptation. That's how temptation works on this planet, this matrix prison. It's a test. Everything's a test. And if you think about it, the idea is you're put in this game, matrix, prison, whatever you want to call it, and you have to try and find your way out. Do you pass the test, or do you fail the test? That's the question. So it's a game of wits. You have to try and figure out what is the test, and you have to pass the test. They didn't pass the test, and they've ruined it for the rest of us, because all of a sudden then they were cut off from God. They literally were not able to communicate with God. God disappeared somewhere else and said, right, you're on your own, and I'm going to make it really difficult for you, because I'm going to give you darkness and light, so you have to make your own way. So then we have to figure out, make our own way. So we have to get through the emotions of shame, guilt, fear, sort of any kind of suffering emotions. We have to deal with those and figure out how to deal with those and stay in a positive light, because if we're in a positive light, as you know, good things create more good things. So if we're feeling happy and positive and optimistic, million happy and positive and optimistic things happen in our life. That's the law of attraction. So God basically gave us these tests, and he said, right, well, you're on your own, you've got to make your own way out of the game. So this is where we are, right? We're trying to make our way out of the game, and it would be really, really difficult had he not jumped into the game like 2/3 of the way through it, and as Jesus, and said, actually, I'm going to show you how to get out of the game, right? I'm going to show you how to get out of the game. I am the way, the truth, and the life. And if you follow what I do, you'll get out of the game, right? So he gave us the cheat sheet. He basically said, you need to be good, be loving, be kind, love your neighbour, love everybody, be humble, and don't have any pride. If you do that, you'll get out of the game, right? So this is where we are now. We're at the end of time. This is the end of the game, and we basically have to figure out whether we've been all those things. If we've been all those things, then we manage to exit the game and go on to the next game. If we haven't done all those things, then we're going to be so trapped in a system of being allured by money and magic and so power and wealth and all of these sorts of things that we won't exit the game. We'll be like stuck in a place of, well, what is going to happen in the future, which is to do with the New World Order and totalitarianism. But just so you know, there is hope, right? So even if you've played the game really, really badly up until now, you can still get out of the game. Because what this guy Jesus did, or Yeshua, which is his real name, what he did was he told everybody how to get out of the game. Nobody would listen to him because nobody wants to listen to a prophet. That's been the same since the end of time. It's written in the storybook, which is the Bible, which is the book of the game. You know, basically you've got a game and you've got a manual, and the manual is called the Torah or the Bible, and it tells you all about, you know, how to get out of the game. It's all code. So basically then you basically he basically chose to make himself a sacrifice, because before that time people were sacrificing animals and, you know, to be atoned for their sins and everything. He came in as a human sacrifice, as God in the flesh, to show us how to get out of the game. He said, okay guys, I'm going to come in and sacrifice myself for what happened. So for whatever Adam and Eve did in the garden, these people are suffering. I don't think that's fair. I'm going to come in and I'm going to sacrifice myself. I'm going to tell them this is the way you get out of the game. Do as I do. I am the way. That means do as I do, walk my path, do what I did. I am the truth, which means there's no lies here. This is the honest truth. I've laid it all out for you. I've given you the truth. You don't want to hear it, that's up to you. And I am the life, which means the everlasting life, which means that if you get out of the game, you go to other games, or you live in abundantly, right? In the golden city where everything's abundant, you don't have to pay for anything, you don't have to work hard, you don't have any suffering. It's all just brilliant, because I've been there, I know. So this is what he came to do, and he gave his life for us, right? Why do people find that so difficult to cope with? One, because we think we're worthless, and therefore we don't see love if it came up and smacked us in the face. All we do is we run after narcissistic people who tell us that we're not good enough and that we don't deserve anything, right? So our self-worth is very, very low, which is what Satan's done to us in this kingdom. He's made us think that we're not worth anything, therefore we're not worthy of God's love. And he's also made us think that God is a nasty individual who gives us wrath and damnation. But that's not the truth. God has actually come as love to get us out of the game. He never wanted us to be like this. It was Satan that's caused the whole thing to be rotten in the first place. And so basically he died for us. Now, can you imagine that? Can you imagine being married to someone who says, like that Bruno Mars song, would you catch a grenade for me? And he says, yeah, I'd catch a grenade for you, I'd blow myself up for you, I'd stand in front of a train for you, I'd do anything for you, I'd lay down my life for you. Oh my God, wouldn't you just love? Wouldn't you love to be married to someone like that? Well, that's what Jesus came to do. He calls us his bride because we're going to be married. We are married. I'm married to Jesus. I had a marriage ceremony in Vision Space, which is where I married Jesus. He has many brides, right? We're all his bride. If you choose to be with Jesus, that's what happens. You basically get your soul out of here by accepting his love. And that's a hard thing for people to do because they don't believe they're worthy of his love. The other hard thing for people to do is swallow their pride and say, actually, you know what? I'm not God, and there is a God. And that God is God, and I'm going to say sorry to God for all the things that I've done that goes against his commandments, because he's written it very plainly. There's rules of the game, and they're in the manual called the Torah, which were given to Moses, who, you know, I know Moses very well, and just so you know, he does talk to me as well, and he sits there and he smokes a gourd pipe, a gourd pipe, and he was probably off his face when he was getting all these downloads from God, but you know, at least he got them. And he wrote them down in the Bible, the Torah. That's the story, remember, we're in a game. So he's written these guidelines, and we're supposed to follow the guidelines. And if any of those guidelines have been broken, then you need to get down on your knees, suck it up, buttercup, and basically swallow your pride and say sorry for all those things, all those sins I've committed. As you can imagine, living my whole life and not, and turning away from God and the idea of God. I thought God was maybe an energy or something that you use for your own, purposes, manipulate. That's what magic is about, manipulating energy, but it's not. It's God. And this literally, when he says, what you ask for you shall receive, that is, if you're with God, then yes, he gives you whatever you need and whatever he thinks you need. You have to surrender totally to him, and that's the hard thing for people to do, because they're so prideful. They don't want to surrender. Why should I surrender to God? Why should I? And the other thing is, like, people think of all the tragedies and shit that happens in the world. How can there be a God? Right? Okay, well, that's one of the things you need to ask God, or ask me, because there's many people who've been saved by Christ. You'll go online and you'll hear many people look at the Sid Roth It's Supernatural show. You'll hear many people say, oh my goodness, I was a drug addict, I was down and out, I was terrible, I was going to kill myself, and I turned to God and suddenly my life turned around. You'll find that, right? God tests us really hard, and there's many angels on this earth who get tested the hardest of all, and we're just here to try and get our asses through the game. So I'm going to help you do that. And if you want to follow any of my YouTube videos, I'll explain to you all the messages that I've got. The most recent message being that we're heading towards a time of cataclysms, confusion and chaos. Everything will be turned upside down, inside out, and round and round. So I want you to be aware, I want you to be ready, I want you to be feel supported, I want you to be prepared, and I want you to know the truth. I don't want you to be blocked by a veil of lies. I want you to be completely aware of the truth. And even though the truth sucks, it doesn't suck if you're with God, because it sucks if you're attached to materialism, right? If you're attached to things and money and wealth and fame and what you're doing and your job and the people in your life and all of this stuff, the people in your life will go with you, okay? Just don't worry about that. The people in the life God looks compassionately on. I've already, prayed to God about that. My children, because I didn't get them christened and they don't know Jesus, I pray and pray and pray for them, and he sent me, because he sends me to passages in the Bible, and he sent me to passages in the Bible saying I have compassion for these people. So any questions I have, I just take to God. He gives me a message either straight away, and then he'll confirm it with a passage in the Bible. That's how he works. And like the other day, he was telling me about the end of time, and he gave me Ezekiel 7, chapter 7, verse 2. Of course, that's pretty, hard, but it's hard fact. It's hard fact. So I'm giving you tough love, all right? It's the sort of love that your Father gives you, because he is your Father, and he wants you to know. He wants you to know the truth. He wants you to be awake. He wants you to save your soul. He wants you to come home. Because I tell you what, on the other side, look, if you look at it like this, you might be having a grand time, but, the truth is that what's coming is not going to be grand at all. They're manipulating you. You're being manipulated. The system is manipulating you. Go and look at the recent Justin Timberlake video called Supplies. Go and look at the recent Madonna video that she did for the Eurovision Song Contest called Future. Go and look at the video done by Poppy about robots. Go and look at, what's the other one that I posted? Anyway, there's loads of them. There's loads of videos. Basically, the Illuminati tell us through the media, the film industry and the music industry what's coming. That's why they will cover their eye up like this, and they will go shh like this, because they will know a big secret, right? You're being hidden from the truth. I want you to know the truth. So if you want to come onto my Facebook group, these are the mainly it's full of New Age people who are really cross with me because I've turned to Jesus. So come onto there. It's called 1111 Power of One, and 1111 Power of One it's called. And basically I've gone through this whole awakening experience with them, and now I've realized, I was in denial of the truth for a long time, because I didn't know how it fitted with what everybody else was going through, because they got channelings from aliens basically, and aliens, potentially demons, right? So basically there is a false awakening, a false flag. There's just like so many hurdles to get over. So my job here is to tell you the truth. Now, not many people are going to want to hear the truth, so that's up to you, but I'm just here to share it with you, and I just want you to be saved. So I'm just gonna, on that note, I don't know, leave it there and tell you that God is with you. If you want to do something about it right now, you can do an ABC of repentance. Look, listen to me, I sound like a preacher. I have not even been baptized in a church. I've been to the church about 3 or 4 times now. This isn't about church. It isn't about going to church and doing things like that. It's about having a relationship, personal relationship with God, right? So meditate, get inside yourself, listen to your heart, listen to what your intuition is saying, listen to your soul. It'll start speaking to you, and you will understand the deep gut feeling about this. It's like something is on the horizon, something's going on, something's going to happen. If you really understand the truth about what I'm saying. And the other thing is, if you're watching this video, there's a reason you're watching it, because that's how the game works. You're not exposed to any information unless you're ready to hear it. So if you're ready to hear it and you're here, then you're supposed to be here. So what I would say is, you know, Holy Spirit comes into your life and helps you out with purifying and cleaning out and knowing the truth, right? So ask the Holy Spirit in, but do it by the ABC. So first of all, admit that God is real and he came here in the flesh as Jesus to die for your to die for you. So first of all, you need to admit that there is a God, and God is the all supreme creator, right? So admit that there is a God and he is the all supreme creator, and that he loves you. And then B, believe that Jesus came halfway through the game to die as a human sacrifice, so that he would show you the way to get out of the game, the way of living your life in a happy way, so that you feel fulfilled and you feel love and compassion, and you don't have to live in a dark way, you know. So he came to do that. So believe that he died and he rose on the 3rd day, because Jesus is the only prophet that has done that. He's the only prophet that came here as a God's son and died, because he's an aspect of God, and died and rose on the 3rd day. People actually saw him. People saw him. He literally turned up and his disciples were there, and they saw that he was alive. And he was walking around, and then he ascended to heaven, right? So that's what God says, that's what happens to us. We, as light beings, die and we go off to heaven, we ascend. So you need to believe that actually happened, which it did, and there's evidence to say so. So Jesus is just not another prophet like the Buddha, blah, blah, blah. He's the Christ. He came here to show us how to be Christed beings, and he came here as God in the flesh. Believe that. So A, admit there is a God. B, believe that Jesus came to die for your sins, and that means die for all darkness, all Satan's shit that he's piled on us, basically. You need to recognize that Jesus did that. And C, call out to him, just speak to him, talk to him like he's your brother, like your friend, like, you know, your best friend, like somebody who just is there for you all the time, and like the other aspect of you, if you like, because that's what he is. He's just like the higher aspect of you, your Christed self. And just speak to him and pray and cry and say whatever you want to say, and say you're sorry, and say what you need, and anything you want to say. And over a period of time, if you keep doing that, maybe, you know, check in 3 times a day. Look, bearing in mind the times that we're in, I would do it 3 times a day, and just check in with him and say how you're feeling, say what's going on in your life. You can have this personal relationship with Jesus, and listen very, very closely. Get very, very quiet, put some quiet music on, and meditate and listen. Say what you need to say, but listen, because Jesus does speak to us. Once we move into the realm of spiritual awakening, we can hear his voice, literally. And you know, people don't believe that. Even vicars I speak to, they don't have that. And I feel really bad saying that, but because, you know, who am I? I'm just some woman who woke up 2.5 years ago to the 11:11 awakening. I've been called as a messenger from God. We came here at this time to tell people about this right now happening. So, you know, I'm just a conduit. He tells me, I tell you. I'm just doing his work. And this is the hardest job in the world, because it says in the end of times that all the witnesses get killed, right? So I've given up my life. I'm giving up my life. But I know I'm sainted already and anointed, so it doesn't matter. To me, my life's already, you know, saved. I'm with Jesus. I'm living there already in the golden kingdom, because this is how we are, right? So if we connect to a higher aspect of ourselves, we appreciate that there are other aspects of us living in other places, and we just need to connect to those other aspects of us living in other places, so that when this avatar body dies, we are moved into this other reality. So I just need to make you aware of that. This is going to be spiritual, it's going to be scientific, it's going to be, about Christ and how to become a Christed being. Or if not, you just want to be like the Buddha and you don't want to recognize Christ at this time, that's a possibility that you could do that and move to the new earth. You don't have to go to the heaven. You don't have to do that. But I'm not forcing you to do anything. I just want you to listen and keep an open mind. I'm here because I love people, and I've always helped with the management of change. So as a nurse, I help people through their life, prevent suffering and help them heal. And as a personal trainer, I moved into personal training because I wanted to prevent illness. I wanted people to see if you keep fit and you look after your health, you don't have to get ill. And also I moved into coaching because I wanted people to have a positivity mindset. I wanted them to get over their barriers of being like bad, uncomfortable with their life. I wanted them to move into like shining, like be your brightest self, your brightest light, expand your greatness and all of that. And as a coach, that's what I started doing. But obviously now I had a spiritual awakening and it was like bam, 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 one thing after another. But the point is, I'm now being used as a conduit for to teach all of this. So how to get through every single level of the game and how to get out of the game. All right. So if you want to stick with me and listen to what I have to say and all the insights that I've had, I'm only going to do truth and 100% truth. I will be able to talk to people on a one-to-one basis. I obviously there for people. I don't ask for anything in return. I just ask you to be humble and listen and be open, and to build a community and to share with each other and to support each other and build each other up, and because that's what life is about. In the heart, if you come from and you live from in the heart. So yeah, done it. I've done my testimony. Whoa, it's 40 minutes. I tried to do a testimony last night and again it was 40 minutes. I thought I'd do really short ones. This is why I've been talking really fast, but hey, I've got a lot to say. So bless you. Just say, I'm bringing in the Christed light, I'm sending it to you all now, and I'm loving you, and I'm sharing the gift of love and light with everybody out there, and I want you to feel empowered by this. I want you to feel like there is hope for you. There is, like when fear knocks on the door and faith answers, there's no one there. I want you to be in that space. I want you to feel light. I want you to feel love. I want you to be knowing what's coming. I want you to be able to, when the demons come in, shut them down. I want you to have strength. I want you to have power. I want you to have grace. I want you to have humility. I want you to have mercy. I want you to have all those things that all great warriors have, because you are a warrior. And if you're watching this, you've come here to do something better than what you're doing now. And as in, shine your greatest light, expose your heart, be vulnerable, be open, be honest, share, be in peace, love and joy. Because love and truth is all there is. Love is all. Take care. Bye.